From sugar and edible oil to paper now, and this industry's stakeholders want the government to increase the import duty on paper to create a level playing field. They also want a review of duty-free imports under free trade agreements with the ASEAN, South Korea and Japan. Joining us now to take this discussion forward is Pawan Agarwal. He is president of the India Paper Manufacturers Association. Mr. Agarwal, hi, thank you so much for joining us. Well, let's start with the import duty itself, and that has been a bone of contention for some time now. What makes you think that the government will look at it this time around?
Good afternoon, Manisha, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, Manisha, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about the paper industry. This is the industry which is the highest employment generator in the country today, and it is highly capital intensive. And paper industry in India has, over the years, especially in the last 1 decade, has invested a lot in new capacity generation, in technology upgradation, as well as in meeting out the environmental norms, all those tough environmental norms that have been set in the past 1 decade. But the main challenge which is coming is through the free imports which are coming from ASEAN countries, especially Indonesia, and also from China, South Korea, and Japan. And to your surprise, if I can disclose the figures to you, in 2023-24, the total rise in imports from ASEAN countries, China, South Korea, and Japan is 34%. And this is creating a lot of issues with our domestic industry, especially the medium and small size paper mills. So we have put in strong words to the ministry, to the finance minister, in the strongest possible terms, that there is a strong need to protect the Indian paper industry. We don't have level playing field. Our scale of operations are quite low as compared to the scale of operations in these ASEAN countries. Secondly, we are short in fiber. We don't have our raw material, in abundance. Whether we talk of wood, we talk of agro, or even if it is recycled fiber, waste paper. So much so that we are importing 50% of our recycled fiber requirement from developed countries. So there is a need to look into all these FTAs which are coming for renewal in this year. So that is something we have demanded from the government in the strongest possible words.
Duty that you're looking at right now. Mr. Agarwal, what is the kind of import duty hike that you're looking at right now, the kind of representations that you've made?
Yeah, so the current duty is 10%, okay. And we're asking for 25% duty on all imports.
Also, Mr. Agarwal, what is the kind of demand growth that India has seen in sense of paper, and how do you look at the overall paper economy within India?
So historically, paper has been growing at the rate of GDP. And in the last 1 decade, if you look at CGR, it has been more than 7%, somewhere between 7 to 7.5%. And keeping that in view, there has been a lot of new investment which came in the Indian paper industry, as I earlier mentioned. But because of these imports, I am seeing a growth going down to as low as 5%. The biggest area of concern is capacity utilization. Our capacity utilization is not more than 75 to 80% if we look at the total volume of the Indian paper industry. Out of 900 paper mills, to what our data says, is only 550 odd mills are in operation. So that's a big point of concern for Indian paper industry, looking at the kind of imports coming into India.
Mr. Agarwal, you talked to us about an easy dumping ground that India has become in sense of paper imports here. What about the quality controls? I mean, is that something that you're also looking at and expecting something on those lines from the budget?
Yes, we have been demanding the same with the government as well. Quality control orders, because you see, lot of paper is coming as stock lot into the country, and also as second quality. So there's a strong concern for IPMA that there should be a strict quality check so that there is no harm to the consumers in India. And we are also demanding to put issue QCOs for certain grades of paper being imported.
And how would you look at the various grades of paper? I mean, as you just mentioned, how much of that is getting imported? What quantity does India produce there? And what are the economics between the two?
So you see, broadly speaking, there are mainly three kinds of paper being consumed. One is the fine paper, the writing and printing paper, which is used for educational purposes, and the other one is newsprint, and the third one is packaging paper. So in India, we are seeing that packaging paper, the demand is growing and growing at a good rate, and we have got sufficient capacity to cater to that demand. And a lot of new production have come up in the last 1 decade, to cater to this growing demand of packaging paper. And we are not seeing much imports in this packaging paper category, though recently we have seen some high quality packaging board being imported. But as far as fine paper is concerned and photocopy paper is concerned, here we are seeing a lot of growth in imports. Despite the fact that there is enough domestic capacity, and mills have expanded in the last 1 decade. Coming to newsprint, again, there is a lot of domestic capacity, but again, since newsprint consumption is going down in developed countries, and as low as, the demand for newsprint in developed countries has gone down as low as 50% in last 1 decade, whereas in India it is still growing, though at a smaller rate. So we feel that there is a strong need to protect our domestic news producers also.
Oh, well, absolutely. So import duty is one thing, and of course, looking at quality control and ensuring that we have a level playing field in the country are some of the demands coming in from the paper industry there. Mr. Agarwal, thank you so much for joining us and making sense of all of that. And with that, it's time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere because the discussion on the budget will continue on the other side.